Are you ready, folks? Welcome to the Talking Crit live stream. I am Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. Screen right. I guess using
My
my left
December
hand.
calendar ready to go in the trash. Another
Uh-oh.
another 2 days, and we're in 2022, man.
We're about to kick 2021 in the ass. Let it go. Let it say goodbye. So
Terrible year for most people.
It's going to be a recap. Wait. What are you doing with shoes?
Not as bad as last year. It wasn't as bad as 2020, but it was pretty bad. Pretty miserable.
Okay.
But not as bad as last year. It was an improvement.
You know what? Not to jinx anything, but I'm going to say knock on wood.
Oh, boy.
We're on the 29th of December. Tenkar's had 0 hospitalizations.
You better watch it. So
I don't want to 10 feet.
For those that don't know, I might as well come clean. I have COVID. I contracted sometime last week. Don't know when. Don't know where. It's been pretty mild. I had my shots, and they're pretty sure I caught Omicron. So that's my state right now. I'm just dealing with it. No the usual symptoms. No sense of taste. No smell. Cough, tired, just the same general stuff, but it's not as bad as some of the earlier variants were.
Well, so I'm able to do the show and no sense of smell. It's a perfect time to clean out the pantry. When it's like, all right, what's stuff in here do I really not enjoy eating? Well, now's the perfect time to eat it.
So our Christmas dinner is we make a giant lasagna. So I made this giant 20-pound lasagna, and I got to eat it that night, Christmas Eve. It tasted delicious, and then the next morning, put everything, up to freeze it and come back out. And then by Sunday night, I couldn't taste anymore. So there's no point. So I just put it on the freezer because, I'll just take it out in a month or so when I can taste again, hopefully. But yeah, all the Christmas stuff we had, we threw it all in the trash because we can't eat it. I mean, we can eat it, but it just doesn't taste like anything. There's no point.
So you weren't enjoying it.
Cookie. Well, why would you have a cookie? Cookie doesn't matter. I'm probably going to lose 20, 30 pounds here next week because I'm just not eating anything because I'm just not hungry. I had tacos today just because they were crunchy, and I had like 2 tacos, and that was it. I was like, I don't feel like eating tacos. They don't taste like anything.
All right. So now if you poured a lot of hot sauce on it, would you taste the hot sauce?
You could. So it's weird. So when you put something like a spice or whatever, it's spicy, but you can still eat it. It's not like it's preventing you from eating it, but you're like, man, this is really spicy. You can tell it's spicy. And if it gets in your throat, it'll make you go like cough. Because I did have yesterday, just to try it out, I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken and they had one of their spicy, and their spicy chicken's really spicy.
Right.
I had one of their spicy tenders, and I knew I had something hot in my mouth, but I still couldn't taste anything. I just knew it was hot.
So you got the tingle, but you didn't get the taste.
Yeah. And now I know my wife hasn't had a sense of taste in about 15 years. Doctors suspect that she got a COVID variant about 15 years ago that wiped out her sense of taste. Because that's what it does. COVID can take away your sense. And so she's never gotten it back, really. And she always tells me that's why she spices her food so much, because she can kind of taste a spice. And I'm like, oh, crap, what if that's happening to me now? I might be through my sense of taste for the next 15 years. I may be out, man. I may lose 100 pounds in the next couple months because I don't feel like eating anything. This may be a dream come true, man.
Take the blessings as they come, right?
I guess so, yeah. And I can't smell, so I don't. If anything smells bad, I don't know. So it's perfect.
You're the perfect con organizer then, because you can't smell.
Exactly. I had
what the hell is he now?
The pair of scissors just fell off to the top here.
This is
a bad omen.
Throwing them into the ceiling, and they came down to try to impale you.
This is a bad omen. I don't know, man. We got some bad juju going on here between the COVID. But yeah, so I got COVID. It's not too bad. Hopefully, it doesn't get worse. It hasn't got worse in the last couple of days, so I'm hoping it just trundles along and I'm okay. So we'll see what happens.
All right,
we'll see what happens. But we got a lot to talk about because we got our year-end show that we didn't really do any prep for, as usual.
We did prep for it the whole year, right?
Yeah, we kind of did. We prepped. You're right. We prepped for it the whole year. So we're gonna roll over a few of the big things we talked about, and so just a little, just to kind of get background. So Eric and I, at the beginning of the year, we've been doing this show for a few months, and we're trundling along pretty good. I guess we had about 400 subscribers. I mean, that wasn't a lot, And I say we, but I mean everybody. I mean Glenn and Joe the lawyer, everybody. I'm narrowing it down to Eric and I, but it's not just us. It's the whole thing. It's the health show. It's everything. So it's not just us. But I consider ourselves the main show. I'm sorry, I just do.
We've been doing it
because we're 2 hours long.
We were doing this on the podcast side prior, so yes,
we're 2 hours long. We've been doing it over a year now. So I the way I look at it is we're kind of the main show, and there's all these other shows too. Maybe just my ego talking, probably is.
That's okay.
But anyway, so we had about 400. Then we had a week right before North Texas. We had special guests from North Texas would come on and talk about it. Well, and then we went to then North Texas. We had a huge bump. We had a big bump. We went over because you remember you had the bet. I don't know if we're gonna make it over. We made it over 500, and we're like, wow, maybe you get over 1,000.
Sunday morning of North Texas or Monday morning after North Texas when we sold at the hotel.
We had a big bump, and then we had a second bump, and this was the beginning of August when when it just became this huge S show of Lanasa.
That was the third bump.
Oh, the third bump. Okay.
We had a second bump, I think late June, early July, when Professor Dungeon Master linked to the YouTube channel here, because I tend to deal with numbers and statistics. Part of that, was I ever trained in it in like college? No. But I did crime stats as a cop, and I mapped out crime activity, and I was trained to look for patterns. So I tend to have a real affinity for such, and he appreciated what I was looking at, and he linked me, and we picked up probably at least 200 subscribers.
We did pretty, that's right. We had a pretty good bump there, and that's when I think you started saying, hey, if I get 1,000 before whatever, we'll
give away some good money.
And you wanted to get and you're going to get a room at North Texas. You were going to sponsor a room at North Texas. So then the third bump, you're right. That was the August Wonderfield, Deinhardt, Lanasa, New TSR, all the imbroglio when that all just exploded. And then all of a sudden, boom, we got like 300 people like in 2 weeks. Now we've kind of settled down after that. We're still trying to get about 1,100. We're up there, but yeah, that was great. So we hit 1,000. So
we are at 11:01, which may vary before we get off this. We may lose, we may gain. If you're listening to this and you haven't subscribed, please do so.
My lesson that I've learned is that we need to cover extremely controversial subjects and cover them very crazily and just start screaming and yelling and go, oh my God, this is so crazy. And we'll get lots of subscribers. So that's what we need to do. Starting in 2022, we will be totally sensationalized. We're going to wear costumes and masks, and we're going to yell and scream, and we're going to just go. I mean,
is this the COVID talking, Mike?
I haven't had any. Well,
I know you have no sense of taste, but I didn't know it went beyond just physical taste.
Hold on. Let me get this. No, I just don't smell anything. See, I don't have any whiskey, so I'm not rational without my whiskey. So we're gonna keep rolling along as we do, and good things will happen to us. Is because we've got lots of more fun stuff planned next year, and we were pretty lucky. We had a pretty good year considering all the crazy stuff that went on.
Oh, yeah.
Health wise, we did. Health wise, Eric and I had a good year, and although we had some losses, obviously, Doug Ray passed away this year, which was expected, yet we still didn't really.
It hurt, man. That was
it hurt a lot. That was really,
it was a gut punch because for those that actually got to know Doug was a huge driving force in this community, in this hobby. A lot of what he did was behind the scenes. People don't necessarily know all the stuff that Doug did to help in a lot of the old timers, but my God,
it's amazing because you don't every week when I'm going through stuff here at the warehouse, I come across something else, and I'll give an example right now on the NTRPG Con auction page, which you're on Facebook. If you want to join that page, we have twice a month. We're going to have auctions related to North Texas, related to Doug's own items, and we're trying to sell some of Doug's stuff. But I took a selection of items from his personal collection and put them up there. And I'm happy to say we're already over $1,200, which is great. We still have several more days to go. But one of the items I put up was a bunch of artwork that was signed by artist Lloyd Metcalf, who we've had on the show this year.
Yep.
And I started looking through. I said, this looks. So I looked at the Kickstarter. I was trying to find out what year this artwork came out. It turned out it came in 2014. Doug bought every high level, everything of that Kickstarter. Doug was 90% of the money that Lloyd got from the Kickstarter, pretty much, because he bought the highest level, which is like $1,700 to get an original oil painting. And I know he bought it because we have the painting here at the warehouse. We have that original oil painting. And then Lloyd also said on there that he thinks that Doug basically said, yeah, your levels are okay, but I really want this, so we're going to make up a level just for me. So he made the Doug Ray level. So I want to say that Doug, and this was Lloyd's first Kickstarter. I know Doug had a lot of affection for Lloyd. He really loved Lloyd, and he was a big part of our conventions. He would do our flyers and stuff. And I have no doubt Doug really stepped up and basically made sure that Lloyd's first Kickstarter was a success by pretty much just pumping money into it, by just saying, yeah, I want this. How about if I give you like, $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever. So, and then Lloyd confirmed that. He said, yeah, oh yeah, Doug was, he basically made his own level of the Kickstarter. And that's why we have so much original art of Lloyd's around here. That was a big part of that. We have a bunch of pen and ink drawings. We also have a bunch of oil paintings of Lloyd's.
Really?
Too, so. Yeah, and that's where we got them all. I knew we got them from somewhere or from a Kickstarter. I didn't know that was fair, but that's just one of a very small example of what Doug would do in the community just to help people out, people that were starting out, people that he liked. I mean, he just did stuff like that. It's amazing, and yeah, we're gonna miss him, and we're gonna miss him a lot because the community needs to get. You need guys like that. You need guys just gonna say, this guy's just starting out. I'm gonna drop $1,000 on his Kickstarter because he needs to succeed.
Right.
There's not a lot of guys like that out there. There really aren't.
No, there aren't. And not just because there aren't a lot of guys with the pockets deep enough to do so, but there aren't a lot of ones that have those pockets that care enough to do so. Because you're investing not just in a project, you're investing in a person. And that takes a lot of faith.
Doug did that with a lot of Kickstarters. I'm going through his stuff. Like I said, I'm going through stuff right now. I'm finding very high level rewards for Kickstarters, and he wouldn't brag about it or tell me about it. I'm just finding this. Oh, where did this come from? Okay, this is the highest level reward for this Kickstarter. Okay, and because I look him up on Kickstarter, and I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know he backed the highest level of this, and he would back those high levels. I know Ben Burns, he backed the level where you could name the characters in Ben's game, Monster. Oh gosh, what's the name of it? It's a Monster Hunter game. It's for kids. And if you back the highest level, you could name all 4 of the kids. Well, Doug did that because he wanted to name them all after his kids, after his grandkids. He wanted his grandkids to all be characters in the game. So, but yeah, he did that a lot. So that was a tough one. We've lost. Steve Perrin passed away this year, also of RuneQuest fame. I really didn't make a list. I guess I should have made a list of people that we know that passed away. But Steve was a big one because Steve was a guest at North Texas. Just a super nice guy. I wish he hadn't passed away just because he knew a lot about the hobby and because he worked at Chaos. He knew all kinds of stuff about RuneQuest. It sucks because when these people go away, their knowledge goes away too, because not everything's written down anymore. People don't write stuff down. I just saw an article about they call it the Google memory hole, and basically it's about how all the stuff on Google Plus is all gone now, and that was a huge part of a lot of hobbies, including our hobby. There was a lot of Google Plus stuff there that's no longer available.
Yeah,
and that was stuff. Speaking of which, I just out of nowhere. There was a guy that I don't know if you know this, but a guy had mentioned he was doing a 5-part history of the OSR. He does a blog. I can't remember his name. Jeffrey Hahn. He mentioned you. Tinker's Tavern was mentioned in the. I'll have to send you a link.
You'll have to send me a link. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, he does a part 4. I read the whole thing. Part 3 or 4. He talks about early blogs and their influence on the OSR, and he goes through all the people we know that we talk about. But he mentions Tinker's Tavern there too. I want to say you started in 2009. It was right about the time all this stuff was happening.
That's about right. I mean, I think I really kicked it off when Rach and I started dating. That would be the right time frame.
So, but anyway, yeah, you got a good mention there. But yeah, all the Google Plus stuff we have has all gone down the memory hole, and stuff doesn't get written down. So when people like Perrin pass away, that's just a part of our hobby we're never going to get back. and that's a lot of memories and stories that the same we had with Doug. I mean, Doug, there was so many stories about him, and sometimes I'll forget a story, and then my brother will remind me, or somebody will say something like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot about this," and I'm like, man, I got to write these down because I'm going to forget, and then nobody's going to be able to tell these hilarious stories about Doug, because he did some funny stuff. He was a funny guy. Didn't seem like he was a funny guy, but he was. He was a very, very funny guy.
Yeah, well, he put on that cop exterior. Once he got beyond that cop exterior, he was a teddy bear.
I remember when I suggested the midnight auction. I guess it was about the third or let me see. No, it was convention number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. The 5th convention. I suggested we do this thing called the midnight auction, and I just knew he was going to say no because he didn't like stuff like that. He liked everything straight and narrow. We're going to do this, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Midnight on Saturday, no problem." Like, and I was just like, "Yeah, okay." And he loved it. He was part of the midnight auction. I mean, every time I did the midnight auction, he'd be sitting right there laughing his ass off in the front row, and doing stuff like putting $100 bills in books if it wouldn't auction off.
Right.
And then everybody starts bidding on it. Everybody started bidding on it. He'd slip $100 bill in a book that wouldn't get any bids. I mean, just crazy stuff like that. But I asked him years later, I said, why? I don't understand why you back that, because you don't like things like that. You like things orderly and this, that. He said, because I could see how passionate you were about it, and I knew you wanted to do it. Now, that just touched me.
Wow.
That's what he did, though. He knew that it was something important to me. And so he knew that, and the midnight auction now it's a freaking legend, right? I mean, it's you got to be there. It's one of the year events. Yeah. It's one of the yearly events you just got to be at because it's just so funny.
Miss it. Well,
but he loved it.
Point where you're gonna have to leave your cell phone at the door because
we're getting close. People, I think, are figuring out you don't take any pictures.
Well, I think that's pretty much understood. There is video of me in the clown out. In the lobster outfit.
In the crab suit?
Mm-hmm.
How about you got video you in the crab suit? Okay,
yes.
Good. Now, that's good stuff. That's wholesome. That's good and wholesome.
We need to have that wholesome next year with me if I break out the classic wrestling heavy metal outfit. But hey,
we have a sneak preview. Yeah.
Yes.
I understand that Rob is not doing he's not going to be doing a Speedo this year. So Gary and I have a plan. It's going to be, look, we're just going to money whip this problem. We're going to have an auction before the convention. If it gets to a certain amount, Robert does not get to wear a Speedo. I am anticipating this to go as high as we want it to go.
Oh,
I think we'll get as much money as we want to get. So we're anticipating no Speedo this year. For those of you who are too frightened to think about coming, who've been scared in the past,
he might just do it for free. Just like
we're gonna swear him if we get this certain amount, he can't do it, and he's gonna abide by it. He said he would abide by it. Now that doesn't mean he'll do something else. He'll wear like a bikini or something.
Yeah.
He'll just something disgusting.
It's my birthday suit. Like, no.
Maybe he could just
yeah. We shouldn't give him ideas. He might pop in.
Be careful. We gotta be real. Oh. Popped out for a second. So speaking of which, let's talk about another thing this year is we got conventions back. So
yes.
We went to North Texas.
It was beautiful. Oh my God. I felt like I was alive again. It really was amazing.
Great. There were so many hugs and people just went bonkers because it was so great to finally be back with our tribe again after, the long winter of not being with people. And you could tell how appreciative people were. We did. Now, sadly, Doug was not able to attend his final convention because he literally got sick the week before there and had to go to the hospital. So Gary and I and David had to run it in the seat of our pants from a guy who's a type A, hands-on. He does everything. We had to figure it out. I thought we did okay. Did you think we did
very well?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Okay. No, I have absolutely no complaints about how it was run, and you wouldn't know. Here, I'm not going to name the convention, but you still were better organized than another convention that's much larger. I will not.
I'm not going to say a thing because I'm not going to say a thing. but we had a great time, and oh my gosh, we had so much fun this year just getting together with everybody. We had our first ever whiskey tasting. Chris Stodgel put together. He did an awesome job. Way over the we thought he was good. I mean, he had little containers with little test tubes with. I mean, it was insane with the whiskey in it and little sheets and stuff. And we were like, "Wow, this is this made us."
And you can watch that because we did it live. It's on this channel. You can see people like, or at least here. I don't know if you get to see Ty Beard, but Ty Beard is there.
Jason Brown.
Jason Braun. Oh my God!
There was somebody else there. I can't remember.
Glenn Hallstrom. Oh God! Gangbusters.
Yeah,
Mark Hunt, but Mark was.
Oh, Mark Hunt. Yeah, I'm about to say we're forgetting somebody. I knew it. But that was also the con. I got really sick Saturday night, like deathly ill.
And who poisoned you?
I was told it was Alex Kamer poisoned me because the night before we had gone to a Mavericks basketball game and a playoff game he was quite the awesome gentleman. And the next day I woke up and I was so sick. And so that's auction day, man. I gotta be up for it. I couldn't do it. I called Jim Kitchen.
Jim did a great job.
Did an incredible job. He stepped in for me, did the regular auction. Now I was able to recover in time for the midnight auction because that would have been tragedy. But yeah, it was just so cool that everybody stepped up. When they knew I was sick, I felt so bad for Gary because, look, you're just gonna have to do this by yourself. I mean, I was so ill, I couldn't do anything. I said, I just can't do anything, Gary. You're just gonna have to handle it. And I kept thinking, well, if I rest, maybe I can be ready for 2:00 or 4:00 when the auction was. And I was able to attend, but Jim did an excellent job because that's what he does. He's a good auctioneer. He does a great kind of auction. And yeah, we had a great time. We made record money this year. The con made record money. The auction made record money. It was just an outpouring of people who were just, so happy to be there. We had a great time. It was great to see conventions come back again. And obviously this year we had Gen Con came back. Origins came back to two of the big ones. They were able to bring it back. And I went to Gamehole Con. You didn't attend. You and Rachel didn't attend. You had stuff going on.
I had to cancel the airline ticket. I canceled the hotel. Our con badges went to the con. I wasn't gonna, ask for that back. I even had I think I was buying a plushie for Shannon, but hopefully went into the pot for somebody. But we just had stuff come up. And I was just like, so. But
it was great. It went off really well. They did check vax cards. They did have mask mandate, but nobody seemed to mind. I had a lot of trouble wearing my mask all day. I'll confess I did not like it at all, but it went really well. Everything went pretty good. I also went to Long Con in November, which is a smaller con in Longview, Texas. About 100 people, 150 people. Went to a small con. And luckily, this kind of all happened before Omicron hit because that turned out to shut down a lot of activities. And because it's apparently really, really easy to catch and not as bad as the other variants, but extremely easy to catch. So, but yeah, so we have conventions back, and next year we're crossing our fingers, knocking on wood. We're hopefully throwing salt over the shoulder. We're gonna hopefully have a full range of conventions next year.
No black cats, the whole 9 yards. We're gonna avoid all that.
It'd be great to see Total Con happen again. Total Con's missed a year. Gary Con's missed 2 years. So hopefully it'd be great to see the Gary Con guys again. I'm hoping next year will be a little better. We can get back to the whole con thing because we had a blast. I mean, you don't realize how much you miss something you don't have it.
Right. Oh, believe me, my God, 2020. When I was out of the hospital and I was home after my 2-week stint of hell. Actually, the hell was before the 2-week stint, but in any case, all I could think of was, oh my God, right now, North Texas is going on, and I'm not there. Rach and I, for the first time in over half a decade, weren't there, and that hurt, man. That was painful. Well, by the way, Mike, you
stuff going on.
This. It took 25 minutes for our first spammer to arrive.
Oh man, I always miss the spammer. What was I doing? I missed it.
Right? No,
It was a Russian. It was a Russian dude. Oh, it was a Russian spammer.
Yeah.
We're getting international, man. We get some international spamming. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen. I think on Gamers Health when I was not Gamers Health, Iron Rations with Joe earlier in the day on Friday when we did on Christmas Eve on the afternoon. I think it took 8 minutes for the first spammer to come in. This time with 25, they're falling down. You know,
well, maybe something's wrong in Russia. The internet's not fast enough or something.
I hear that if you have spam, you should go to.
So, Jamie the Red, what date's the 22? First weekend in June. I want to say it's June 1st through 5th. Even though the convention officially runs Thursday to Sunday, Wednesday is an unofficial day. And you don't actually, for those who are local, you don't have to pay to come Wednesday. You can just roll in and there's games and all kinds of fun. So when I want to say it's June 2nd through 5th or 1st through 5th. So, yes, and tickets are still on sale. You can still get a discounted ticket for the next week or so. And then we will be scaling the discount back quite a bit. Gary says that something like 90% of the people refuse to take the discount.
I was going to make that comment.
Amazing.
If you need the discount, certainly use it. But if you can afford not to, and you can help the con by not taking the discount.
Nothing against you if you take discount. If you're taking 2 kids and a wife, you may need the discount. I mean, that's 30% off is, for a $90 ticket is
it's there for a reason. It's there for those that need it.
But if you don't need it, it's great. People are just kicking it back to the con. That is it's just amazing. It's the kind of people we have come to our con. It's just amazing. So,
oh God,
I think we might sell out this year. We've already got 100. I believe 100 tickets sold. We sell 500. That's pretty good for the end of the year. Not even into January. That's for us at least. That's pretty good.
I still got to do for H and I. I'll get there.
Don't wait too long. I mean, you may get booted this year. We may just have to go without you. Sorry,
no. That ain't you boot rates from the con. You're gonna have to do you.
Oh no, I meant you. No, rates is okay. No, I meant.
Oh, rates is okay. All right.
All right. She can come. She can come. Yeah. So we had cons. Now this is something you were intimately involved with. So I'm going to let you. I've talked long enough. I'm going to let you talk about this year, and this is probably one of the biggest stories in the OSR this year. And we'll talk about WotC too, all their ham-handed wacko moves. But the story of the year in the OSR and in the circles we run around in was the story of new TSR and Wonderfield. And I'm going to let you just roll with this because this is your baby, man. This is you had so many columns about this in your blog and talked about this so much
on the videos. And by the way, folks, I don't have the material in front of me, so I'm going to do what I did when I was a history major and just try to get the timeline right. As opposed to
we're just shooting the shit here, guys. Come on, we're
And I'm going to give the caveat that while the overall story is definitely going to be accurate, since I am talking now, some details may be off. So, if you are a member of the See You Next Tuesday Brigade over at TSR3, you can just take care of yourselves. All right? Mm-hmm. So, there were a number of things. Actually, maybe I'm going to get the timeline ready going, really. TSR, the stupid review. That's not too bad. New title for the segment? No. This week in gaming stupid. This year in gaming stupid.
This year, this is the award. This is the award winner, folks. This is the most stupid.
So there was social media breakdown going on. It wasn't great before Wonderfield had their marriage with TSR, and I think it was. I don't know if it was a marriage that they had. Stipulations in place before they got married in case it was going to be a sudden breakup. But you couldn't tell who was doing the social media unless you looked for the misspellings and the programmer, because that allowed you to differentiate.
That was a giveaway. That was
often the giveaway between what was likely Justin and what was likely Steven. But it quickly became a shit show. And what happened was various conventions, largest being Gen Con, was like, well, they're banned. I mean, because they were making statements about genders and I'm smiling only because of the pure stupidity of what happened. They were making public statements about stuff, and this in the end actually included Ernie, who I will show you later on. Apparently, is no longer Ernie Gary Gygax Jr.
Hey.
But that's another story. But we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened with this burning bag of shit is that then Gary Con said, well, yeah, nobody from TSR is going to be welcome at Gary Con either. There's a caveat there because obviously Ernie is a Gygax.
Or Ernie can come, apparently,
Ernie
and run games.
And Ernie could run games, but again, because you can't keep the timeline going. So what happened it's going to be later, but it's still relevant to this part of the conversation. Since they weren't able to go to Gary Con, they decided they were going to have TSR Con, July 4th weekend in Lake Geneva, where there were no hotels available, I would assume. Because it's a holiday weekend. I'm sure they were all booked.
It's a resort. It's a resort town. Everybody from Chicago and Illinois drives up and goes to the lake. Yeah. That's not a good
Horticultural
idea.
Hall was to be the location. There's a problem with Horticultural Hall because they were going to use the outdoors for the dealer space in the height of July. Even though it's only Wisconsin.
It's hot. It's hot in Wisconsin in July.
Wisconsin is the land of lakes. So it's not a Texas dry heat. It's going to be a sweltering damp heat. But in any case, and I pointed out that how do you secure stuff outdoors, right? And of course I knew that would happen. My son, I love him, but I've already spoken to him twice before.
Oh no.
So that became an issue, but then they changed the weekend, and they changed it to the weekend of GaryCon. Why would you change it to the weekend of GaryCon?
Yeah.
Now, I will give credit where credit is due, and I mentioned this prior, but they said, "Hey, we're not gonna have a mask mandate," and GaryCon said, "We are going to have a mask mandate. So if you wanted to go and game without masks, that was the place to be." Also, Ernie stated that he would attend GaryCon, but he was only going to run games at TSRCon.
Right.
Because
he's just going to hang out and because all the family's got to be there. Yeah.
Yes.
Now this is the thing is though, until last year, everything was. I mean, Lanos had gone in and they got the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum. It was rolling along. It was. I mean,
here. I'm going to conjecture. All right. Okay. So I'm going to say, Tenkar is spitballing here. What happened is the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum tried to launch during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't able to open. It wasn't able to generate money. Now, I have no inside information on this one. So yes, new TSR3, you're welcome to say that Tenkar lies. Tenkar is not lying. Tenkar is conjecturing. I am going to conjecture. I am going to look at the evidence and say it is likely the reason why the trademarks, because I should point out they never actually secured the TSR trademark until this past summer. They somehow missed that in grabbing the graphical ones. But the trademark land grab for the graphical trademarks was an attempt to generate funds because the museum was not generating funds. And they were making tchotchkes to sell at the museum. And they were looking to license out these graphical TSR trademarks to OSR publishers, which wouldn't have been a bad idea if TSR3 wasn't a social media piranha. bag of shit, which made it actually worthless for others. Oh,
Hey, my brother just popped in, I think.
yeah, love
Almost
face.
just without closing.
There
Oh,
we
wait,
go.
Robert has closed. Never mind, that can't be Robert. He has
Yeah.
closed.
So therein lies these weird ass, issues. But this is only filling in the blanks to let you know in 2021, this company Wonderfilled, which nobody had heard of prior, really, although apparently they had a Kickstarter that had funded with James Ward as the main name behind the Kickstarter for Giant Lands, a science fantasy role playing game. Apparently, the first one ever. I'm just saying.
I know.
So that's how it was billed. The first one ever.
Never another one. Never been another one. 40 years.
So
I know.
they
It's crazy.
joined TSR or TSR Hobbies or TSR.
They teamed up, yes. So basically, you have Wonderfield, Jim Ward, and that was run by Stephen Deinhardt. And then he got together with Jess Lanasa and Ernie and Duck and all them, and they decided to form an alliance. Said, hey, this is we should help each other out here, man. Nobody likes us. Nobody likes us at all. Let's team up.
So now this put a book in a box, an actual game into the publishing schedule of TSR, because they had hinted that they were going to do a Star Frontiers game because they were snagging that IP, but they had nothing to show but classic TSR, now owned by Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, they couldn't use the rules for Star Frontiers. They could create an entire new game called Star Frontiers, but it couldn't use the original rules. They didn't have the rights to that.
Yeah.
That's what people thought they were. That's what they kind of had planned to be their first release, I think. And then the Deinhardt and Ward and them say, hey, we've got this Giant Lands coming. Okay, we'll make Giant Lands. Giant Lands will be our first release.
Right. Look at this great offering. All right. So what happens is at that time, now this is going to be opinion. Lanasa and Deinhardt were in a competition to see who could burn the company to the ground first. Who can make the most asinine comments?
They were working hard. Both of them worked so hard. They both worked so hard to make this happen.
Kim, just say my understanding about Duck is that Duck found employment at the Lake Geneva Museum, and to go along with his responsibilities at the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, and that is likely why he's still there. But I have multiple sources on that one, but since I didn't get it from Duck directly, I can't say I'm 100% correct, but I'm pretty sure on this one. So that's what I'm hearing. And I got no problems with Duck. Okay?
Shadzar, we'll get to Giant Lands in a second. Hold your horses, Shad.
We're getting there. It's part of this whole thing.
We're getting there.
We're moving on up. So in any case, this whole bag of shit became very interesting because apparently Deinhardt was the one that was getting the websites together and registering the websites that were going to be involved in this new merged company. What's even better is that Deinhardt could not spell his own company's name, Wonderfilled, on his own website, which made it very confusing when you were trying to figure out whether it was Justin or Steven putting something on social media for the company, because then you realized, oh my God, neither one knows how to use a built-in spell checker or Grammarly or whatever on their web browser to fix this basic shit. So, and they can't even do it when you're designing a website, when you're trying to, because that's how we found out that TSR and Wonderfilled were separating / divorcing, was when like they took their ball and went home, and that ball included the TSR website, which was then renamed WF.
And there was a lot of fans were very upset because they were buying in on the Giant Lands box set, which is pretty expensive. It was a what, 120 or something. It wasn't a cheap box set because it was part of this new TSR. And once they said, "Oh, we're divorcing," people are like, whoa, hold on a second. I don't want to support Wonderfield. I wanted to support TSR, but too late. Sorry, you paid your cash, brother.
Right.
You're in for a penny and for a pound. So
and
that's what we started figuring
that
out.
there was an issue that they couldn't issue returns because they had a problem with their payment company. I'm sure they closed their account right after they got the money, so you couldn't get the money back. Again,
which is smart.
Theoretical.
That's not dumb to do. That's not dumb to do. Come on, because they did have a lot of people that wanted a refund, and they said, "Sorry, no refund."
God. There were people that were ordering multiple copies of Giantlands.
Oh yeah, we saw the poster. People were like, "Hey, I just ordered 5 copies of Giantlands. I want to support you guys." Wait a second, it's not Lanasa. I want my money back. Too late.
Now,
too late, brother.
Now, I'm not going to put the link up, but I'm going to show something because it's related to the Giantlands thing. But Giantlands first edition box set has shipped. People are doing unboxing, and I tried to sit through an unboxing of somebody who sounded like he was a 13-year-old who just found out about self-pleasuring. It was It was so over the top. It's like, oh my God, it's got art on the inside cover.
I haven't seen that yet. Oh, I got to see that one then.
Dude.
I haven't seen that one.
What is this? It's a bookmark. Congratulations, you got a bookmark.
Has he never unboxed anything in his entire life? Maybe not.
Maybe not. But now here's something interesting about Giantlands. People were assuming it at $120 for this box set, you were getting full-size books. It looks like it's a digest sized or a 6x9.
Yeah, that was a little surprising. I was a little surprised at that too. So I want to say something. I'm going to go on the record as saying something about Wonderfield and Giantlands. No matter how bad you think Giantlands may be, and if you haven't bought it or played it, you probably don't know. It's better than anything New TSR has ever put out because New TSR has never put out anything. So they get a thumbs up in my book because they've actually put out a published material like they said they were. They said they were going to put out something. They did. There it is. So unlike the supposed manuscript for Star Frontiers, the two copies, the 2 copies that they just let them say, see, we did publish something. No, you really didn't. No, you didn't.
No.
No, you really did not. But yeah, they have started shipping to their backers. And Eric, I will say that Eric and I were skeptical for quite a while, but apparently the dream has come true. I will say one thing.
I gotta say,
it looks nice.
It looks nice.
Material looks really good. It's got good artwork.
It's small, man. It's undersized for $120.
And there's also something else. We've looked into this. It's not an old school game, folks. It is not. It's not old school. I mean, we kind of knew that anyway because you were supposed to wear costumes and masks and hats. And
the write-up still says it. You use masks, man. You didn't. Oh my God! Mike.
And we never used. I'm sorry. Old school was a non-mask zone. If you walked up to the table in 1979 with a mask, you were told to leave. So that was not old school. But from what we are hearing, just different people quoting us parts of it, it's not old school game. Look, I'm not gonna look. I don't think they ever said it was an old school game. So, I mean, I'm not going to hold that against them. And like I said, they have published something which is better than a lot of people. They're better. They published a better set of rules than I've ever published because I've never published one.
Well, I don't know if it's better than Swords and Wizardry Light or Continual Light, and that's based on Swords and Wizardry. So we know
by the way,
I wasn't going to screw that up.
The same article I got to tell you about, they do mention Sword and Wizardry Light in that article too, part of the OSR. I got to link that to you. But yes, so yeah, that's a plus. I mean, I'm not going to beat on them too much because they have actually published a product. And good for them. Good for Jim. I hope Jim made some.
It's a nice cover. I got to give them props.
Is that Elmore's cover? Elmore cover, yeah.
You know what? It looks like Elmore's artwork.
I think he did the cover. I think that's one thing he contracted to do, or am I just making
that might have been contracted early on when he did the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So,
but Jim, I hope Jim makes some money off this. I'm glad he got this published.
Yeah.
I hope he does well with this, and good, good for them. Good for Wonderfield. Good for Giantlands, and and maybe we'll see it played at conventions. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So now, folks, this is kind of like the Easter egg. I want you to look at the bottom of the Giant Lands box where it says 3-volume set by James M. Ward and Stephen E. Deinhardt with Gary Gygax Jr. I joked on Facebook that maybe Ernest or Ernie has now been trademarked by TSR and was not able to be used in this product. But I always thought Ernie was Ernie. I've never seen him call himself Gary Gygax Jr. So this is a first.
Now this is you know why they're doing this, so I don't need to go into it. Yeah, it's just it's trying to create a false connection in people's minds. I mean, Ernie has always been Ernie. Nobody ever called him Gary Gygax Jr. So
no,
he's always been Ernie, and so
right, and that's it. Now, but here's the interesting part. He's credited on the cover, but I believe after the breakup, he has nothing to do with Wonderfield.
yeah.
So, I'm sure Vince can update us on that one on one of the.
Ouch! Ooh.
Well, no, come on, that would be news, right? Or Ernie changed his name to Gary Gygax Jr. next on, the Evil DM.
Yeah,
that's the source to go to for this information. I can only observe, which is what I'm doing.
We're plugging Vince. We're plugging Vince's show, so go check out the Evil DM. Definitely, there's good stuff there. Good stuff. No, but that was a huge thing. So the big controversy of this came because, like you said, these guys were in a competition to see who could destroy their career the fastest. And one of the biggest career destroyers was there was two really. There was a unnamed person who they won't say, but they supposedly fired that person that had an absolutely horrible take on trans people.
Right, and confrontational with everybody online. So yeah, they it was not living like Monty Python fact.
It was not live and let live. Let's put it that way. No. It was very controversial. And then Ernie gave an interview with a website or with a
YouTube channel.
And there was a lot of things in there that it's one of those things where it's almost better you didn't say anything at all. You know what I'm saying? Because it just. Yeah,
Ernie
had
no ill intent.
No,
but
he just
there was a phrase from I guess one of the old shock jock radio shows I used to listen to in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they referred to somebody as No Filter Paul because Paul just did not know when to shut his. Everything they were saying was perfectly normal. And it's just like, what the? Are you out of your mind? Ernie,
we had no filter. Gary Gygax Jr. Yes,
he was out of his element.
Yeah, and his brother distance is all. These beliefs are all held by my brother and did not reflect on the rest of the family or Gary Kahn or anything else. So. It was the end of July, August was wild, man. Every time Eric and I come in for a show, there was something else going on. It was crazy. And the thing was that they had to work hard to get the Stupid of the Year award away from Watsy because Watsy had been working so hard.
Watsy was doing really a great job of being stupid. We forgot to even mention, I guess there's a lot of bags of shit associated with this, but when Gen Con banned them. Mike, do you remember what TSR shared when Gen Con banned them?
No, I can't remember.
Okay. The convention that we founded.
Oh, yes.
The convention that TSR founded. Which, by the way, they didn't. No. Even TSR wasn't a company when the first Gen Con happened. Okay. Was it founded by Gary? Yes. And his gaming group? Yes. But it wasn't TSR that founded it. So not only was it totally an inaccurate statement historically. It also didn't. It's a new TSR, so it's an accurate statement, literally. So, in the levels of stupidity, just
It's like if Eric changed his name to Marlon Brando, and then somebody's talking about Apocalypse Now, and he goes, "Well, the movie I was in, well, no, your name's Marlon Brando, but you weren't the Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now.
But
that could be your name. That could be your name, but that you weren't Apocalypse Now. Well, TSR, they have the name TSR, but they own none of the credits that TSR has ever done in the whole history of TSR from 74 or whatever all the way through 2000. Sorry, that they don't get any of that. They get no credit at all. They own the name. Like I'm going to go, own the name Henry Cavill, and I'm going to say, hey, how'd you like that Superman movie I was in? And you're going to say, wait a second, you just changed your name, Mike, to Henry Cavill. You're not. No, that's my name though. I'm Henry Cavill, and he was in Superman, so that must be me, right? No, it's that ludicrous. It's that ludicrous.
Gary founded Winter Fantasy Con, and a group of people came in to upgrade it to Gen Con to help Gary, didn't they?
Actually, I read this, and you read it too. And
I read it too, but I'm trying to remember. I read some.
I just read this chapter last night. No, it was actually part. So, the Game Wizards, great book, and we're going to have John Peterson on next year because this guy. I mean, I gotta beat this guy up because his stuff is just so amazing. But no, we're reading the Game Wizards, and it started out as a war game convention, basically. I want to say the company was called IFW. It was a group of international something.
International.
It was a group of his friends. It was a group of Gary and his friends.
Yeah.
And they started this little thing, and they controlled the convention. I want to say for the first 3 or 4 years until about 1972, because it started in '68, I believe. So yeah, that they had. This was No, this didn't have the Winter Fantasy or anything. This was just he and his friends, and they just had this convention. Didn't really make any money. They had it at the Horticultural Hall the first couple of years, had these little tiny places because it was just, a few hundred people. And it wasn't till the success of Chainmail and then, of course, the Brown Box that it absolutely blew the roof off. And then it's like, oh, wait, now we're going to be TSR. So,
Wargamers.
Anybody play? Yes, International Federation of Wargamers. Thank you, Shad. But yeah, if you read the Game Wizards, it's in the first. They start from the very beginning, and they go. Yeah. This is like chapter 2, and that's where I'm at about chapter 3 right now. But yes, they start at the very beginning, and they roll all the way down there. And John doesn't miss it. He doesn't miss anything, man. He tells you everything that was going on and about how
great was author's voice. And I'm reading on Kindle, so I don't have to squint. But my God, I really feel I should be taking notes. Because
it's crazy. It's so good.
It's just
crazy good.
I mean, I'm reading it, and I'll be honest with you. If it was a company that was being formed in 2021, I could see all this behind the scenes shit getting aired out on social media, and we'd be looking at TSR 3 going, "Wow, you guys are lightweights. Come on, you got to be doing what the old TSR did."
This is, obviously off the subject of the year in review, but I find the thing I found interesting so far, because I'm slowly going through the book. I don't want to read all at once. I want to digest it a bit. Is that how poor the guy gets? This is just set food on the table and pay rent for him and his 4 kids. Yeah. He had 4 kids. I mean, I want to say Luke was born in 72, 78. I was making 70. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, he and for a while he was a cobbler. Wrap your head around that. He was actually a cobbler
before that he worked in insurance.
Insurance guy. Yeah, he just tried to do a little bit of everything. Never graduated high school, so he's just kind of bouncing around from job to job. And he had this hobby. He loved gaming. He had a little magazine they put together, and I mean, this thing would make like $10 a month. I mean, they weren't making any money. Nobody really made money in war games unless your name was Avalon Hill. Nobody else made any money in war games. And he just, so anyway, it's really interesting. They just, hey, look who we got here. Hello, sir. Somebody wanted to say hi to you, James.
Dorothy.
Hi to you. Yeah.
See, wait. See, now, this is what Shannon got me. I took it out of the box because I can't leave it. I was like, I needed to get it out because it's got a bobblehead. I know yours is
I
still.
wonder if they could. I wonder if Dorothy could fight little Baby Yoda. That'd be kind of cool. We should have that.
See, the problem is Baby Yoda is green, so it green screens as I get off the.
Yeah, James knows the huge crush I've had on Dorothy from the Golden Girls my whole life, and so of course he. B. Arthur is awesome. She was in his James's favorite show of all time is the holiday special, Star Wars holiday special, and I have it on good authority. He's memorized the song she sang. So yeah, he's a huge fan, and he bought that just to show me how much of a fan he was.
I didn't want to do it. It came very close. Thank you, Mike. That was certainly
it's good. Good to hear from you, James, and I hope everything's going well with you. James is taking a little break off social media, which is good. We all should do that. But thank you for coming by and saying hi to us.
But if I did that, then the trolls couldn't find me.
So anyway, so that was all Gary. So anyway, read the Game Wizards. I'm gonna try to get John on the show. It's awesome. So anyway, so that was July and August was awesome. It's just awesome because every time we probably got 300 subscribers in that couple months because everybody would tune in because Eric was so on top of all this shit. He had inside sources. It was just this guy. He's like got Deep Throat working for him. He's just got all these guys who are telling him this stuff.
I don't have Deep Throat, but listen, I was an investigator. I supervised investigators as a sergeant. Have I worked with confidential sources? Yes. I don't recruit them. They come to me.
Oh yeah, they come to us. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just because it's not like I'm like going, hey, if you give me good information, I'll give you $20 and drive through RPG Now credit. No, it doesn't work that way. It's just, I appreciate all my sources. And I got, listen, my Ken Whitman stuff from years ago, I still have sources that are close with Ken when Ken's active. Ken has not been active, so that's okay. We're a safer community with Ken being inactive.
Yes, we can only handle so much at one time. So that was kind of the year of new, and so yeah, it just, and then of course we've had the recent revelations where WotC's suing TSR, but TSR is going to sue him back, and we're just going to wait and see how this all rolls out. This is probably going to go on for a while. It's probably not going to end well for new TSR because they poked the bear, and as we say in Texas, when you mess the bull, you get the horns. And so I think they've probably pushed it a little too far. And so we'll see what happens with them. But I mean, yeah, I'm happy to see that Wonderfield has a product out and it's published way more than new TSR has ever done. They have nothing.
Time out. Listen, I don't want to be accused of being inaccurate. TSR did a TSR 3 or new TSR. I don't want to slander the original TSR and have people think I'm talking about original TSR. But TSR 3 actually did a reveal of their Star Frontiers game, which did not have any professional art on the page. It looked like it was some cheap-ass stock art. It was coil bound, right? I think it was.
Yes. Yes, and we were told that because people asked to see, could you flip a few pages? Because we see this. We were told by certain people that we won't name that you can't ask them that. That's not fair to ask them that. That's not fair to ask them to look at their product. You just got to believe them, man. You got to believe this guy.
Now, Matt Melman makes a great point, and Mike and I have said this, especially Mike.
We said this over and over, yes.
All TSR 3 has to do is print the module with Ernie's name on it, and Wonderfield has followed that recipe. By the way, with Wonderfield, it says with Gary Gygax, and if you look inside, he's a contributor. What he contributed, God only knows. You could have Jane Smith and John Doe write an adventure with, I guess now it's Gary Gygax Jr., and you could then. What did Gary do? He, I don't know, gave his input to the ad. I think that room should have three floors, not two.
I made the point months ago. Eric and I both made this point that all they would have to done is have Ernie and Jeff and somebody else write an adventure. Say it's a limited edition, 300 copies. That's all they'll ever be. We're going to charge $50 a piece for them. 300. That's $15,000 right in your pocket. They would sell. They all would have sold. Signed by Ernie.
Signed by Ernie. It's a gold mine. Wait, but now again, I'm going to be talking opinion here. My opinion, for some, the grift is more exciting. It's more of a rush than actual publishing and producing, and I think that we might be seeing that again.
Well, I noticed there was an interview with NASA recently where he hinted that Ernie was indeed working on a module. I'm like, maybe he's watched our show. maybe I need to charge him for our unsolicited advice, Eric, because the last interview I saw with LaNasa, he did hint that they were going to release something next year written by Gary Gygax Jr.
Which would be great.
That's the one you sent me a link. I think you sent me a link to that interview, or maybe it was you or somebody else.
It might be somebody else because I started watching that. Listen.
You might have noped out of that one. I think that's the one you noped out of because it was just so long and ridiculous.
Yeah, so now I'm going to have to find this one, but everybody's been referring to this as the Gargamel picture, and I'm going to have to find it in my.
See, I want you guys to know who works on this show. Eric does his part, but Eric won't watch these videos to the end because they're so terrible. I'm sitting there watching 2 hours of LaNasa ramble on about stuff.
All right.
Because I'm waiting for the tidbit. I'm waiting for the tidbit.
I watched this one to the end because it wasn't that long, and I swear to God, I hope nobody gets offended by the pic. And by the way, if you have young children, you might want to
please
take them away from the screen right now because this picture will speak for itself.
Oh dear. Oh, that doesn't look real.
I mean,
that's got to be Photoshop.
Right? I didn't Photoshop. I pulled it right off the latest video I had up.
I mean, not you, but I'm saying somebody Photoshopped that.
No. That was a roaring animated fire in the background, like my virtual green screen of the tavern behind me. Right. What you're looking at on the screen, like over there, was because he was talking with Michael H. And Michael H. looked normal, and maybe the lighting was bad because somebody called this picture Gargamel. I don't see Gargamel, but I do see the
Ricky Berwick.
That's not too far Game of Thrones. This is one of the walkers. Like the Walker King,
the White Walker.
The White Walker. That's like the White Walker King.
Boy.
I mean, that's just. Oh my God!
I refuse to engage in any kind of hilarity at somebody's expense like that. So, I'm glad. That's just me. That's mean spirited. How dare you, sir?
I'm. Listen. My point is, I have been accused of things from the left, from the right. I've been accused by Justin of. I delete comments when people accuse me of.
Well, suddenly you got super woke somehow. How did you get so woke? Because apparently, every time he talks about you, he talks about how woke you are. Yeah. You're like super woke, man.
I am super woke because I see my personal opinion. I'm speaking from opinion. All right, my personal opinion. I see much of what's going on with new TSR 3 as a sort of grift. All right, and that's my opinion. I'm not speaking for my.
Prove us wrong, and come out next year and do what Eric and I are saying. Come out with an adventure, make it a limited edition, sign. I'd probably buy one because if there's 300 copies, I'd want to resell it someday. I mean, just do the job, do work, do things that make money. Don't just sit there and wait for people to buy your marked up dice you bought from Dollar General or Dollar Tree.
Oh, I bought a case of that crap. They're not bad dice for the money, but they're not.
Yeah, but they don't need to be marked up to whatever they're marketing, like $10, and slapped the TSR stencil on the top, like you.
But
make it home.
I'm reading Chris's comment, man, and Where's the broken down white van with the free candy sign?
I refuse to see. I'm not going to insult because I refuse to play that game. I'm going to take the high ground. I have the moral high ground here.
The blue hair turned me woke. Although if you look at
that's right. Yeah, left, you did that.
The reason why I am anti TSR is not because I see a grift, but it's because they are fighting to remove the disclaimer, and they did it before me.
I'm going to just throw this person under the bus. That was a Dyson Logos comment.
Oh yeah,
and the guy's a talented map maker, but that might be the dumbest comment of the year, Dyson. I don't understand why he would even say something that's stupid. That was the dumbest comment I may have ever heard him make, and he's made some wacky comments. But he said that the only reason Eric was opposed to Lanasa was because he was jealous of the attention that Justin was getting.
Right, for the disclaimer. Because Justin's taking action against the disclaimer. Justin's not taking action against the disclaimer.
No, that's the dumbest comment
action to take against it. I can say, I don't like it. I can say, again, my personal opinion, I don't feel it's needed. And if it is going to be used, it should be used specifically on products that may, in today's terms, be offensive. And I'd be okay with that. I wouldn't be thrilled with it, but I'd be okay. But to raise money, $5,500 at this time, because you're working the rage machine, to have Witches of the Coast, you're going to sue them to remove it. There's no standing. No lawyer's going to take that case because they're going to get thrown out of court.
Right, $5,500. He's doing okay, man. He can almost pay an hour of his lawyer's work.
Chris, not knowing who that picture is a picture of, is probably for the best. Okay, so I would
anyway. Say, I'm gonna guarantee you that Eric is not on this crusade because he's somehow jealous of Justin Lanasa. So that's the dumbest take ever. I'm sorry, it's the dumb. In my opinion, that's the dumbest take I've ever heard. I don't know. I don't know how to comment to that. That'd be one of those ones. If you're having an argument around the table, somebody said that, I gotta go.
Well,
because I can't argue with you. Listen, it's too dumb.
I have to say this. All right, when people that the left sees as far right, and when people on the right look at somebody on the far left, and the far left and the far right see me as the devil, then I'm doing something right. I have found my ground, and I am happy.
It just shows you how the arguments make no sense because they're absolutely 100% politicized.
Yep.
When you could be referred to by one person as you're the wokest of all wokeness, and then yet another person from the other side thinks you're so unwoke that you're jealous of the guy that's
that's regarded as like the woke antichrist, right? It's like he's going to destroy the wokeness in the world.
Every once in a while, people just pull your head out of your ass and realize that not everything is political. Sometimes people are just assholes. Sometimes people are just like grifters. I mean, look at our favorite friend, Ken Whitman. I don't even think about politics. I just think he's a grifter. He'd steal from anybody. He'd steal from right, left, middle. I mean, he stole from actors. He stole from gamers. He stole from everybody. He stole from Jolly. I don't even know what Jolly's politics are. He stole from everybody that backed Jolly. I mean, so yeah, that's what these people are. They're not. There's politics shouldn't enter into it, and politics is an absolute smokescreen and a red herring.
Yeah.
When Justin tries to throw up politics, it's a smokescreen. The politics aren't important here. What's important is what they're doing in the community.
It's not a smokescreen right now. It is a way to generate money from people that feel they're being disenfranchised in a hobby. And I'm sure there are those on the left that do similar grifts. It's just that we hadn't seen it done on the right.
We saw someone on the left
comes in the middle. They don't play.
Well, I'm not going to say who we knew on the left that used to grift, but and I won't even say it. I'm not going to say the name, but we knew some left grifters too.
Yeah,
or left
fair
grifter. Yeah, and you know who I'm talking about now, so we'll just roll on.
Yeah,
that was a grift going on there. There was a grift going on there too. So anyway, that was the fun year, and that was a extreme interesting topic of conversation the last 6 months of the year. I mean, it seems like every time you turn around, what's new TSR up to? What's or TSR3 or whatever. I mean, everybody, I think new TSR fits perfectly because it's just the dumbest name ever. NUTSR.
Yeah. See, like,
It's so dumb.
I do
it fits.
two with TSR3 because we had the original TSR, we had the Top Secret New World Order TSR / Gygax magazine,
Jason Elliott stuff,
Jason Elliott TSR, and then we have the Burning Bag of Shit TSR. But the Burning Bag of Shit TSR doesn't have to be this burning bag of shit. They don't need to be. This is a self-inflicted wound. Just like typos on cards for their. Are they publishing that Dungeon board game that's not called Dungeon, but is?
I don't know. They're supposed to be. At least they say they are.
And that was from Wizard Tower Games, right?
Wizard Tower Games.
Wizard Tower Games produced it, wrote it, and I guess TSR is publishing it. I don't even
releasing it under the TSR banner, which
look,
probably not a bad. I don't know. Probably not a bad idea for them because
when
they
there's
can be
typos
called
on your photos where you're selling this.
That's not good.
There are typos. That's probably not the picture you should have taken. Put that card, shuffle that card back in, and get a card without typos when you're going to try to sell to people. But
at least they'll be able to say they published a product even though they didn't write it. It's Wizard Tower Games.
But you know what? That's fair enough. I'll grant them that.
Be something. Yeah, it'll be something. But
it could be worse.
Before we had this, though, we had a year when for I don't know how many weeks in a row, WotC was trying to mark their ground. They tried to mark their territory like a big giant dog that came in and peed all over everything, and then of course the other little dogs came in and peed over their pee. But they had quite an interesting year. They continued to basically say, look, I know you like playing the game like this, but really you're not playing the game right. And if you really want to play what we call D&D, you're going to make this change here. All the while saying, but you don't have to, but this is a suggestion. You could do this. And we're going to change all our rule books to say this too. And I want to say the first thing that started was when they said, orcs really aren't evil. And the reason we're going to say orcs aren't evil is because we don't want you to think that they are a stand-in for any racial minorities, which nobody ever thought. Nobody's ever said that. But they came out of nowhere, thought, so because of that, orcs aren't evil anymore. Okay, whatever. But you do whatever you want in your own campaign. But it just kept blossoming from there. Like, okay, and this is going to happen. And now this, and now this. Oh, and by the way, we're going to sue Weiss and Hickman over here too. Two of the most beloved figures in the history of Dungeons & Dragons. We're going to sue them. Oh, but not really. No, we made up with them now. It was just one unforced error after another with WotC this year. And it's no wonder. And look, this isn't affecting 5e sales. This isn't affecting WotC sales. It's the best-selling version of D&D of all time. But what is absolutely, I think, firmly done is 2021 has definitely driven an entire stake through. We have old school and we have new school. WotC does not want your money if you're old school. They want nothing to do with you. That you go off and play your game. They're fine with that. They're not going to ruin your game. You go play your retro clone, whatever, but we don't want you in this game anymore. And we're going to keep issuing these proclamations until you go away, old person. And I firmly believe that is exactly what they're trying to do. They're making a ton of money with their new audience. There's no reason to court people like you and me, Eric, or most of our demographic. They don't care anymore. They're making money hand over fist because of Critical Role, because of their play program. I mean, all that stuff, and they can do whatever they want. They could say next year, I don't know, think of something ridiculous. They could say talking dogs. Our newest class is talking dogs. We're going to do talking dogs, and they're going to walk on 2 feet, and they're all going to be paladins. And
but those are wolfen, aren't they, from Palladium? And I think that's right.
That's don't be racist to bring wolves in here. We're talking dogs. Come on.
Okay. Can it be a dachshund like my dachshund? She wouldn't like standing.
Yeah, you can have dachshunds. Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, it's just, and they can do that, and it's not going to affect their sales. Nobody's going to stop buy it. They had the whole wheelchair thing where you can adventure in a wheelchair in a dungeon. If you want to do that, go ahead. I don't care. You can, maybe the Lich in your campaign makes wheelchair accessible dungeons. If you want to do that, that's awesome. That's great. But just one thing after another like that, it just made it perfectly clear that they don't care what people of our generation think or want to play, because we don't matter. We don't matter to them anymore. We don't. We're not making them any money.
Right. Like if you're watching, I don't know, the evening news or on one of the cable networks, yeah, we're the demographic that you want because we're the ones that spend the money on the advertisements that you're going to be doing. But when it comes to D&D, they want the money from the younger kids, the 20-somethings. They're the ones. That's the market that they need to aim for.
James makes a great point there. Yep. James always has good takes. I wish he was still around talking to us all the time. But yeah, that's not our. And I think that a lot of times I don't understand the rage of some of the older DDP because they get really bent out of shape about this. And Eric and I both kind of the same idea. Play your own game. They're not. The WotC police is going to kick your door down and steal your Swords Wizardry Light rules books because they don't care what you do anymore. But it's obvious that they don't care about us anymore either because we're not the demographic that they're looking at.
Right.
And I don't understand why people are so angry about it. I understand that it's disappointing to be basically pushed aside and say, yeah, we don't really care about you, old man. Okay, boomer, you're out the door. We got our new cool game here. I understand that's disappointing, but the best thing you can do if you're a player is just ignore it and play your own game. And
and here's the thing. I said this before. I'm going to repeat this. People are going, oh, we're going to see 6th edition D&D in 2024. No, you're not. This is the golden goose that's laying golden eggs like, I don't know, somebody with... it
would be dumber. It would be dumber than good. It would be dumber than Coke and New Coke.
Right.
But you didn't need New Coke. Somebody had thought of New Coke, and New Coke failed miserably. This is the same thing. There's no reason to bring in 6th edition. It doesn't. There's no.
Right. What? That being said, what's going to happen? They're going to change the fluff. The crunch is going to stay 99% the same. It's going to be compatible with all the old releases, but it's going to be represented. They're going to call it, I don't know, D&D revised or whatever they need to call it to make people think. And all these changes that they've been making is going to come here now. What I find very interesting is D&D, the official books from Wizards of the Coast, don't have PDFs, right? All you have is an online portal to get your digital format stuff. So the moment you log in, when these changes have been made in your core books, they're gone. And that's part of it, the new reality in Fury 5e Gamer. If you're going to be playing with the most updated rules in organized play, your organized play rules are going to be updated to the latest version of rules, 5.146, where demons and devils are no longer automatically evil. They are a product of their environment. Just write them out of the game. Well, maybe they'll do that next. I don't know.
Let me address a couple of things here. So, Chad, the Matt Mercer effect. Someone forms this crowd comes to your game, demands things for you. Nobody demands me running a game. I'm a DM. If they demand to run a game, there's the door, brother. See you later. I've seen the Matt Mercer effect. I've actually seen it. I've seen it happen. I've seen somebody tell somebody, yeah, that was a good game, but it wasn't like Critical Role, because nothing's like Critical Role.
No.
Nothing is like that. Nobody runs a game like Matt Mercer. The guy deserves every bazillion dollars he makes because he's basically an author telling a story and everybody else is in his story. So no, anybody that expects that, they probably shouldn't be playing role-playing games anyway. If they expect the Matt Mercer effect, it's just, there's probably 5 DMs in the world that can run a game as good as he is. So they're going to be quickly disappointed as they go to conventions and find there's 0 games run like Matt Mercer. So Matt Mercer effect doesn't bother me. If somebody gets disappointed about it, tough luck. Go play at this other table. Go play at another table, and they're going to play the same way. And then David says that I said before, is setting the expectations for new players that I may one day try to get an OSR game. I understand that, but I'm going to tell you, running a convention, you would be shocked the amount of people that understand that 5th edition is not 1st edition, and they like them both, and they like them both for different things, different reasons.
Yeah. And this is coming from, I've mentioned this before on the live stream, but I'm going to mention it again because it's relevant. I've run Swords and Wizardry Light for 5e players. And actually, not just once, twice. Once at Gary Con because we had a DM that wasn't able to show and was going to run 5e. And I ran Swords and Wizardry Light. And you know what? Out of the table of 8, 4 of those players went back to the Frog Guard booth, either right after that game or the next morning, picked up the Swords and Wizardry rules because they like the experience. Does it mean it's going to be the only thing they're going to play? No. TotalCon, my last TotalCon in 2020, I had a table. It had 7 players from their regular group and 1 rando, and that regular group was a 5e group, and they specifically wanted to play an old school game, and they left saying they had an amazing time. They got to go home with the Swords and Wizardry Light rules, and they were excited. Now, does it mean that we converted anybody? No, but this is the way you're going to.
I will say that either I think it was year before last. I called him a kid. He's probably in his 20s. Was at the con and he said something about playing in a. He said, "Yeah, I came to play 5th edition, but what's your next game?" "Oh, I'm playing in a 1st edition game." I'm like, "Well, that's kind of weird. Why are you doing that?" "Well, because I want to see what D&D's like on the hard level." So even he realizes that 5th edition is a goofball game. I mean, like you call it, Eric, Care Bear D&D. He's like, "Yeah, I want to play D&D. To me, 1st edition is D&D on the hard level. Because you're going to die and this and that." And I'm like, that's a pretty cool way to think of it. So, yeah, there's more crossover than you think with some of these players that they like playing 5th edition, but they'll play other editions too. I have another friend. He's on one of the Discords I'm on. His group, they play OSE, which is an old school drive game, but 5th edition. He has a 5th edition group and he has an OSE group. So I asked, "Well, which one do you like better?" He said, "Well, I like them both for different reasons." He said the OSE group's hilarious because we die all the time. We're always dying because some of the people are in the same 5th edition group. Because the people who play 5th edition never played old school games. They come into the OSE group and they die all the time. They're always dying because they think, "Oh, well, I'm going to get a healing surge or this is going to happen." I'm like, no, you're just dead. Roll up a new character. And he goes, "There's one guy there." He goes, "Mike, I'm not kidding. He's rolled up 30 new characters because he can't get it down that OSC is not, or OSR type games are not 5e. So, but they have fun. They said they have a great time. He likes playing both kinds of games. I'm going to tell you, it's not. You'd be surprised people that jump back and forth in that. And
that's important. And here's the other thing too. Probably if you look at Roll20, if you look at Fantasy Ground, if you look at sales figures, it looks like the second most popular RPG right now called Cthulhu. That is not a Care Bear game. That is a game that you are going to die or go insane.
As a matter of fact, it has some big no-nos because with its latest update, TSR also doesn't want to have anything to do with insanity anymore because that may give a bad name to mental illness. Call Cthulhu the game's all about mental illness. It's one of the main constructs of the game is how quickly you can go crazy. So, yeah, there's people out there that aren't doing the Care Bear stuff still. And I would have to argue. I mean, it would take us all day to argue with this, Shad. But I'm going to still argue with you that whatever somebody does out there does not affect my game. I've never had problems finding players for my table. Go to any D&D convention. Guys like Steve Winter still fill up his tables. They fill their tables up. It's not taking away from anybody's game. I just don't see that much crossover. There is some crossover, but I don't see the same kind of crossover edges. I don't see people coming into an old school game from 5th edition background. Whoa, no. You need to change everything. I want this. I just don't see that. I mean, do you see that ever, Eric? I don't see people making those kind of assumptions. Most people that go to conventions are smart enough to know that if I'm playing in a 1st edition game, it's going to be different. There's going to no healing surges. I'm probably going to die. Bad things can happen to me, and it's not Care Bear D&D anymore. I don't see a lot of people demanding that this old school game needs to be just like my 5th edition game. They're smart enough to realize that they're different games.
James has a great comment. Do you want to run with it or shall
I? You go ahead.
James, most 5e players I know aren't super woke, and most OSR folks I know aren't far right. It's just that jerks scream the loudest, suck up all the O2, so everyone is falsely assumes they represent the majority. And that's, you know what? That is accurate as all
Squeaky wheel
fucking
gets the grease, man. That there used to be somebody in our hobby who I won't name again, who made a career out of good about everything. Scream, scream, scream. And in the end,
I think COVID is taking Mike down.
I'm here. I'm back. But this person made a lot of noise, and they got attention because they made a lot of noise. But you know what? They've been out of the industry for a couple years now, and nobody cares. Nobody misses them. Nobody cares. And so I agree with James that you have a few people that like to get blog posts, that like to get thumbs up on their YouTube channel, that will just beat stuff into the ground or just over sensationalize it. I run a convention, guys. I'm telling you right now, you just get, nobody talks about politics when you're at the gaming table.
No.
You just play the game. I mean, it's that simple. Everybody just comes to the con, they play the game, they have a great time, they go out to dinner. I mean, there's none of this, okay, who voted for Trump at this table? If you did, get out of the room. Or, there's not that, or there's not, okay, I use the X card and everybody has to use the X card. If you don't use the X card, no, they don't have those extremes. It's pretty much just play a game and have a good time. It really
right. Now, I'm not saying, Mike's not saying if you go to I'm not going to name another convention, but if you go to a convention that's outside of our general wheelhouse that plays more of these indie games and stuff, that you're going to walk into that. I can guarantee you're going to walk into that. But if you're
I see conventions that absolutely say that.
Yeah.
I see conventions that say, "Oh, we absolutely use the X card, or we use this, or we do that." But going in, like Eric says, walking in, that's the way it is. So if you're an intelligent person, you're probably not going to play those games, because I'm sorry, X card's dumb. Because here's the problem I have with the X card is that if you have an issue with a game, just tell the DM. Like, let's say you're absolutely petrified of spiders. You don't have to use the X card. Just tell the DM, look, I had a black widow spider jump on me when I was a kid, bit my hand almost fell off. I had this freak out about spiders. Yeah. And just do you have any spiders in your game? And yes, the DM might be a dick and say, oh, well, that's for you to find out, man. Or they could be a nice guy and say, you know what? I do have a spider, but I'm going to change it to a giant frog or something because I would like you to sit at my table and have a good game.
Right.
So that's my problem with the X card is it supposedly opens up communication. I think it does the opposite.
It's a problem with it.
So,
yeah. It's going to be a back and forth, a give and take. There has to be a maturity on both sides where you can say, here, we're getting to a topic of sexual abuse.
I have opinion on that too.
To avoid a convention anyway. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Number one, you shouldn't be running any games, I know people that do that, and I swear to God, I think they're trolling. They'll go to conventions, deliberately put shit like that in there just so they can shock people. And who was the guy in England that got booted for that? Remember that? He had some sexual... everybody in the party got molested or something.
You know what? I think I know who it is, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to slam anybody.
No, but most people, when you go to conventions, they steer away from those topics. I'm a DM. I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to do a love scene with Eric, his character. I don't want to.
Thank you. Again, I do call you my work spouse, but it's a platonic relationship. Oh, jeez.
Scared. I don't want to do. I mean, I would be. I love Kim George a lot, but I would be very uncomfortable doing a love scene with her or be the DM and their character. I don't want to do it. So don't bring it into you shouldn't bring that shit in the game anyway. Your game should be about, we're going to go to this dungeon, we're going to loot it, we're going to kill some evil creatures, we're going to find some treasure. Just stay away from that shit and you'll be fine. You won't need X cards, and you shouldn't have sexual assault shouldn't be in your game.
No,
I mean, I know this is a game of escape, trying to escape real world problems. It's not about like slavery. Oh wait, hold on. Watsy got rid of that too.
Oh yeah,
I forgot about that. Got rid of the slide.
Paizo was slow to the punch, but Paizo was also wiping it out. Kim George, let a group know an old school game. at the beginning that's not about killing shit. Then I'm letting you know that sometimes you need to stop and think and run to live to see another day. And that is certainly part
And
of it.
that's communication. That's just good communication. That's what I don't know why we're missing that in games, because the whole game is about role playing. Just have communication with your players. I mean, as soon as a lot of people, when they write their game descriptions, they'll say for mature audiences only, because they don't want to, maybe an 8-year-old kid playing their game, or even a 15-year-old game and playing the game. And I understand that completely. I had a father wanted to play my B1 game one year, and he said, "Can I bring my whatever 10 or 11-year-old son?" I'm like, yeah, I mean, we might get a little risque, but we're not going to get worse than a PG movie, and I'll make sure everybody knows to behave, since your son's going to be there. We had a great time. There was no problem at all, and we've had some of my B1 games. We got a little over the top because it's all adults in the room,
Right.
and it's never anything I initiate. I don't initiate it. If they want to get
the group dynamic initiate. By the way, David and David, you're both right. I'm not going to say the names. I don't know what, if YouTube go like, oh my God. Shadzar, I stand with Rach. Rach, by the way, for those that don't know, is my lovely wife. If you sit down to play a game and can't handle something that is native to the game, you should leave. You don't get to demand others to change.
But I will say, I will add a caveat. The DM should let you know beforehand if something like that's going to be in the game to prepare you. And I'll give you an example. We're just talking about Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu has a lot more mature themes.
Yes.
You can run into stuff that's probably a little more harsh than D&D. I'm trying to think of an example that's not sexual abuse, but there's probably some themes in Call of Cthulhu I might steer away from, or I might not steer away from it. I might let the characters know beforehand, look, this is a pretty gory scenario here. It's going to get rough. Are you going to be okay with a lot of blood and guts? And they say no, fine. At least we know up front, right? I won't just spring that on them,
Right.
Or I'll give you an example. Okay, I know of an example that actually happened. I don't think it was a Call of Cthulhu game. I think it might have been a Shadowrun game, but a friend of mine, a female friend, was playing in the game, and the guy, I guess, wanted to make his villain really villainous. So he murdered a bunch of pets of one of the NPCs. And when they walked into a room, he described the room. And so it was really upsetting to her because, she's a pet owner, and this was pretty descriptive about what this guy had done with the pets. And so that's the kind of thing that might have been better if she'd have known beforehand that there's going to be this pretty rough stuff in here, because like I said, I want to say it was like it wasn't a game that you normally expect that kind of thing to happen in. It was like a Shadowrun game, maybe even a D&D game. I can understand being upset by that. It wouldn't necessarily move my meter, but I know some people that really, really love their pets, and that would be very, especially if you've lost a pet recently, that would be
It could,
shocking.
Yeah.
And I understood when she told me that. She said, well, this happened to me. I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. That's, that's something that probably he should have said beforehand. Is like, hey, there's actually some really rough stuff in this scenario. Now, if you're playing Call of Cthulhu, you may just be like, hey, you know what?
And for Call of Cthulhu,
it's a rough world out there. I mean, there's deep ones, there's human sacrifice, there's all kinds of creepy stuff going on. You should know beforehand that you're getting in for some stuff. But some other games, I don't think it's a problem. Saying, look, here's what we're gonna deal with. Is everybody okay with it? I've never had a case where I've gone around the table and somebody said I can't deal with it. But I usually run pretty traditional D&D.
Well, but here's the thing: what you're running at a convention or a pickup group online is not going to be the same thing that when you run with an established group that you've all bonded and get to know each other over the last couple of months. Because you don't have an insight into that established group. You don't have an insight into random people.
You have to be very careful at convention games. As James gives an example, I run a long-term Ravenloft campaign, murder, blood, torture, all factors, but you probably knew everybody at the table, and it's Ravenloft, which is a horror setting. So yeah, you're pretty much covered there. But it'd be different if you went to a convention and say, I'm going to run a Ravenloft game, and then I might want to ask you, well, how rough are you getting here? Oh, well, there's this one scene where, I think I'll skip that game because I can't deal with that. And I think that there's a way, like I said, communicate with people, talk to them. Don't talk at them or by them. That's one of the problems we're having in society now is everybody's talking at somebody or across from them or by them. They're not talking to that person, and they're trying to make a point like, oh, well, I'm going to have the most goriest, grossest game ever just to prove a point. Well, let the players know that. Well, let them know that, look, this is going to get over. This is going to be over the top because I just want an over the top game. Don't just spring it on them and get. And yes, David Thompson, I forgot. It was a robot rape scene. It was the dumbest thing ever. The problem I had with the scene was it removed all player agency, if I can remember correctly. The player involved had no choice but to do this thing. And that's a huge no-no. Your player should always have ability to opt out of something like that. And yeah, that was just dumb. That was dumb. I think it ruined his whole career too. So yeah, I think he maybe paid the price for rolling that out.
I think it was a career ender and well deserved.
Yeah, it's a career ender. Yeah, you got to think about your audience.
James, I wouldn't run anything other than what would be PG at a convention just to cover my tail. You know what? And that's PG unless you're playing a game that by default is PG-13, like Call of Cthulhu, in which case you play it at the default. But
no, that's a good policy. That's a great policy. And like I said, I was very happy. I can't remember the guy's name. Oh, it's going to kill me. The guy's name that played my B1 game, but he made sure to know beforehand. Look, I'm bringing my son. Is that okay? And if I just said no, he'd have said okay, no problem, and he would have brought his son. But I said, you know what? I think we can handle it. Okay, it's not going to be that big a deal. And it worked out great. But yeah, just communicate with your DM, or if you're a DM, communicate with your players. And I think you solved a big problem with that. And to tie this up in a bow and everything we're talking about tonight, a lot of the things we've talked about that really annoy people are because of just, like, for instance, WotC. WotC just come and say, look, here's what we're going to do now because everybody knows that you're racist if you play with slavery. Well, that's not necessarily true. You know, don't tell me what you think that I am. Or, orcs can't be evil because that's racist. It's not, the connection's not obvious to me. You know, maybe in some cases it might be, but not the way I play. And I think that's a big problem with the way WotC's very heavy-handedly been throwing these rules around. They're changing is that, well, we're just going to assume you're like this and you're this, so you're going to start doing it this way now.
Well, and it's the care bearing of the game, not just in the way the combat happens or the spells, but in taking any potential rough edges off the setting. Everything's going to be rounded. Everything's got to, like, it's like when you have a new kid. All right, well, every table, I got to put the rubber on the end of the corner of the table because the kid could hurt themselves. You're doing that with an established game. And I think that is over the top. But it's not my game.
But it doesn't. That's what I'm saying. That's why I would keep arguing with you about that, Chad. Because once again, it doesn't affect my game. I know I don't like it. I don't have to like it, but it doesn't affect my game or the people who play with my game. And look, most people that play D&D, I'm telling you, I go to a lot of conventions. Eric does too. I run a convention. I'm going to tell you, the majority of people at a convention are absolutely fine with everything Eric and I have talked about. They are not going to push the issue and say, no, you've got to be just like I want you to be. No, they're going to say, okay, look, I'm playing your game, whatever you want to do, fine. You know, and you don't want I know a guy once that used to run Dragonlance scenarios, no Kenders. He didn't like Kenders. Well, Kenders are fun, but he didn't want Kenders. You knew he sat at the table. He's not going to let you have a Kender character because I think the reason was a lot of players would play Kender. Oh, because they play Kender characters, so that means I could just be chaotic neutral basically and just go nuts the whole game.
I'm a pathological thief.
Once again, you do that going in. I want to play a Kender, damn it. Well, I told you there was no Kenders in the game. I want to play a Kender. No. Get out of here.
Play a Gully Dwarf and be happy with
it.
I probably would have played the Gully Dwarf.
Gully Dwarfs are bad too. Oh no, Gully Dwarfs. You mentioned.
Listen, there's a reason why James is a professional in this industry.
Yes.
Uncomfortable elements in a game have to be taken into context of the material in which they are presented, not dodged via blanket statements. I could never have said it so well. I'm glad we got to defer.
I couldn't either. No, James, and for those who don't know who James has been published in pretty much every RPG field there is possibly could be, including Star Wars, Middle Earth, D&D. I mean, he's very much a published author, and we're nobodies compared to James. Let's put it that way. He's a miserable human being. He's absolutely miserable human being. But yes, he's a published author, and he writes a lot. He this is his job. He has to write this.
Yes.
About. And we say he's absolutely true. This is just a theory, Eric. I mean, I could throw out theories all day, but does it seem like to you, especially this year, that there's somebody or their game, and they're saying what?
James right now we're saying what because you got glenified. So one more time, Mike.
No, okay, I'm sorry. I said, does it seem to you like it's almost like somebody is deliberately doing this stuff to basically put their mark
on the game?
And they're going to put their mark on the game and say, look, this is the kind of game I want D&D to be now. Rather than saying, what's best for the game and the company, I want to say that I put this in the game, so I'm going to start changing all these things about the game.
So
I don't know.
All right, so here I'm gonna go along with your hypothetical. I'm also gonna say I've heard rumblings from people that may have some connections to people at should we say the real Wizards of the Coast, the real owners of TSR's IP from back in the day, that there is a distinct break in the mindset between Jeremy Crawford and Mike Mearls.
That's okay. I was alluding to that, but yes.
Yep. And Mike Mearls, believe it or not, and some of you folks are going to go, Mike Mearls is very much more on the side of old school gaming in the style, in the gameplay. And Jeremy Crawford seems to be much more in the how do I make this game appeal to the loud crowd that maybe doesn't play but claims they will if we make all these changes. Again, we
don't know this for sure. We just heard we hear rumors. We don't know this for certain, but that was pretty much what I was alluding to. Is that I think that there's a lot of people who have a theory that Jeremy is in charge of D&D now, and he's really trying to put his mark on the game by making the game that he wants rather than what's the best for everybody. Nope, I'm going to do what I want to do from here on out. And we don't know. I mean, could be true.
The Kender comments are awesome. By the way, I'm just not going to repeat them because if you're watching this, you get the team. If you're listening on the Anchor or the Spotify, just know that everybody's going back and forth in the comment section talking about why Kender suck are awesome. So my personal view is, as a player, I love them. As a DM, I would never allow them in my game. So, but the same person always plays a cleric because nobody wants to play a cleric. So, figure it out.
So James makes a good point, though. James says a well-played Kender is a wonderful thing. A badly played was a train wreck. Here's my problem. Nobody knows how to well play this kind of character. It's like the same thing you could say with chaotic neutral. If you got a gaming professional guy in there who knows how to play a chaotic neutral character the way it's supposed to be played, you have no problem with it, right? The problem is 95% of gamers don't know how to play chaotic neutral as anything but I'm going to do whatever I want the entire time, and there's nothing you can do about it because I'm chaotic neutral.
There you go. I wouldn't allow chaotic. I'd rather let somebody lawful evil in my campaign than chaotic neutral.
I don't allow it either. Chaotic neutral is that you're a madman. You're playing a madman. Okay.
I'm still catching up on comments so folks can read these on the big screen.
We have to mother-in-law. We got to have a Kender show next year, I guess. Kenders are us.
But Chris,
we're gonna have all Kenders all the time.
Chris says, I've had very bad adult elements in my games and it worked fine. It wasn't a surprise, and I wouldn't do it outside of my home. Exactly. You're doing it with a group that's established and
Yeah.
you know them. I know where if I gamed with Bad Mike, Joe the Lawyer, Tim Shorts, Rob Conley, Greg Christopher, Matt Jackson,
Oh my.
if I gamed with this group, I'd know where I could go. Probably no limits because they're a bunch of fuckers.
First of all, you get nothing done in that game, but yeah,
no, because there's just way too many strong and amazingly imaginative personalities.
Oh boy!
But I've already experienced that. You know, I've been playing in Joe's game, and we got most of those people in it. And you know, sometimes you just got to go. All right, I'm outclassed. I just got to make sure I can.
And I would even go as far to say, so what we just talked about, I think that's one of the reasons we have so many old schoolers are just so incensed about what's going on at WotC, is because they feel like they're, you know, being personally picked on in this, and I think that they have a point. I mean, they obviously, you know, Jeremy's trying to make his mark on the game and saying, here's what we're going to do from here on out, and they're feeling like, well, you're basically telling me that the way I used to play was wrong, and I'm racist because I had slavery. Well, the bad guys, they were the bad guys,
right.
But I still had slavery in the game. I have evil orcs that might kill you and cook you and eat you, which you can't have cannibalism anymore either, by the way. You know, so I mean, there's all these different things that people feel like they're just being, you know, I'm being personally attacked, but you have to realize that, you know, honestly, just let it go. Just realize, as Eric and I have been saying, that this game isn't for you anymore. The new game. Now, your old game's still there. You have hundreds of models.
Oh, it's still D&D.
Yeah.
Just that D&D, just like you have you had Coke and Classic Coke, and now you have Diet Coke and Coke Zero, and you got Coke with lime and Coke with cherry. Then you got the diet versions, and you got Mexican Coke. But they're all Coke, right? Nobody says they aren't Coke. You know, unless you're getting it at like a bar and you're with somebody who goes, "Oh, this isn't really Diet Coke. This is some kind of knockoff."
Or they try to serve you Diet Pepsi and say it's Diet Coke.
Oh yeah. Well, that, you know, that's kind of D&D and Pathfinder, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
But you know, maybe you're somebody who never went beyond Classic Coke, right? Maybe to you, if you drink Diet has been the be all, and Coke Zero is kind of like, this is real.
I saw Shad said, Mike, invite Hickman on to discuss New Dragonlance books and how Kenner plays. Sorry, I'd love to, but man, that guy rates way more than Eric and I on this. I don't think I could get him on the show. He probably wouldn't even remember who I was. He'd be like, huh? Like, yeah, I remember I met you like 6 or 7 years ago. Nope. Don't remember that.
Huh? At the convention, we weren't allowed to announce your presence because
convention. Yeah, he's not gonna remember me. He remembered Doug. I'm sure he remembered Doug, but not me.
But you know, listen, to get a guest of that caliber on this channel, we'd either need a lot more funds or a lot more viewers. And at the moment, Ty Beard we could probably get. I'm surprised Ty hasn't popped in.
Yeah, he's a cheap date. We could get Ty easily.
You know,
you easily get Ty on the show. We'll wait till our next legal imbroglio, and then we'll have Ty on so we can have. We don't want to bother Alex all the time. I mean, you know, we got other lawyers we can borrow. So we'll bother Ty next time.
Yeah. So anything we miss?
I'm trying to think if there's any really crazy stuff last year that I know after we finish, I'll remember like 8 things that I forgot about. I will say one thing: we had some great guests last year, man. I mean, especially when we were leading up to TotalCon. We had all the TotalCon guests.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Lead up to North Texas, we had some. We had Steve Winter on our show. Steve Winter, big name, big time. I mean, we had some
real TSR. Yeah.
I mean, a real. I mean, I can't believe sometimes the names we get on here, just, you know, because we just happen to know these people. And like, hey, you want to pop on the show? And they're always like, when's your show? Like Wednesday night. I've never listened to it. Of course you haven't. And then, you know, we'll have these people on. So yeah, we had some pretty big names leading up to North Texas last year, and we'll try to get. One of the things we were worried about when we first started doing this is like, you know, we're just going to ask our friends, and we're not going to be getting these just other people out there. But then as Eric and I went along, we realized that, you know what, we know a lot of people. Yeah. We know a lot of people. And so we can probably just ask our friends for the next 5 years, and we would have, different people on. So,
and there are also times when Mike and I like the freedom of just doing this, doing a recap, or just talking about stuff that's on our mind. But also we like to help the creators in our community. I'm not saying the industry, the people in our community. We like to exposure. We don't want them getting exposed, because that could get us in trouble. But we like to get them exposure. We like to get you to, and maybe you never actually talked with Lloyd Metcalf. And getting Lloyd on the show is something that you'd like to see.
If you're running an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter, let us know. I mean, if you don't have to be super famous. We have people on that this year that, I mean, who knew who Lou was? I'm just kidding. Lou has a very successful podcast of his own. But yeah, we had Lou on a while back. I mean, we will have, if you're running a Kickstarter, we would love to help you out, or Indiegogo. Yeah. Just let us know, and we'll talk to you for a couple hours. We don't care. We're easy to entertain.
I mean, honestly, when I was doing the podcast, and it was all solo, and I was, thanks to PEX, I was doing some weeks like 7, actually post PEX even. I was doing 7 interviews in a week. Insane stuff. But the reality is, the vast majority of people that I sat down with, and Mike and I sit down with, they end it, and after we were done recording, you know what we hear? Oh man, that was so much fun. I've done other shows. I've never had this much fun. When can I come back? Or, hey, if you need a last minute guest, just reach out. If I can do it, I'll do it. And that makes us feel really good.
It does. It's great. And that, we're not making people hate us. That's good. We're not, people don't dislike us. That's awesome.
Shads are stirring the crap. Eric isn't a talking head that wants to tell everyone how to do things, only his own community. The ones that want to, I don't want to tell them what to do, but they want to hear my opinions, all right, and my observations. And I will never say that when it comes to my opinions, that my opinions are definitely right. Unless it's about a certain individual who I won't name, but
our ego, honestly, we may pretend like we have giant egos. Our egos are very little. We don't. I mean, I don't. It doesn't bother me when people say stuff about us. I just laugh, or they insult. Eric and I about our takes on stuff. We just laugh. I mean, we laugh about it. I mean, we'll be texting each other back and forth like, "Oh my God, you see this?
Yep,
this is the dumbest thing ever."
It's like Mike, don't even bother going to the original. Here's a screenshot. By the way, James, you weren't here in the beginning, but James goes, "I hate you, Mike," but that's mostly because of the smell. Bad Mike right now can't smell shit.
I can't smell. I've got COVID, so I have no smell. So the joke's on you, James. Suck it, James.
Yeah. Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na. So, listen, we just do this to have a good time. If we're having a good time and our guests are having a good time, generally, you all are having a good time. And that's we did. I do not think we missed a week this year, and I'm knock on wood again. But I want to let's do another year without missing a week. Since we started doing this directly on YouTube last September, after my trifecta of hospitalizations in 2020, we haven't missed a Wednesday, and that's when I've been on out of the city. I've been in the country, or I've been at conventions. Mike's been at conventions. Mike's been on vacation. Mike has COVID.
I did one show at Gamehole Con. I had to do it at an empty booth with my computer running out of power because that was all I had to do it at. And then I did it on vacation for a month. Eric did it he's done it from the Poconos. We haven't had to do it from a hospital yet. Hopefully that won't happen. But and I have COVID this week, so I might have COVID for a couple more weeks. So no, it's okay, James. I got Omicron. Omicron is apparently like COVID light, from what I keep getting told by the doctor. So, but yeah, I had a great time this year. This is super fun. I'm so happy to do this with my buddy Eric because Eric and I could get together and just talk for like 3 hours about nothing. That's when you know that
Oh, but
that's
come on. Somebody's upset by that. They say that all I want to do is hear myself talk. But that's why when I do the regular episodes, they're only like 10, 15 minutes. But unless I'm really rolling. But this stuff, when we have Mike and I, usually we have a guest that we have our own bizarre topics that we go into. And the show takes a life of its own because of you all. Just like a good campaign or a good game session, you play off your players because they add so much to it. Our audience adds so much to this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Except for the trolls. Well, it's the spam bots, I should say. The spam
bots being more successful, I guess, somewhat. I mean, they mean somebody's paying attention somewhere.
Yeah, that's like they get enough views. We got to get our links out.
Yeah, well, I will say we really hardly ever, if ever, pimp for viewers, but if you could let people know we're around or give us a thumbs up on the like page, that always helps a little bit. Eric and I are not doing this for the money or the fame, so
no. But I can tell you how we're not doing this for the money because when we hit 1,000 viewers, I gave away $500 in drive-through RPG kits.
Oh yeah,
and I'm also sponsoring a room in North Texas, and with the help of the community and my own funds, we will stock it with booze. But when we hit 1,500,
here we go.
We're 400 away, but I will put more money into the pot. It depends on how the viewership goes up and how quickly. It could be I could put maybe 250 into the pot, and we hit 1,500. We give away another 250, and this is your money anyway. This is from affiliate sales over on drive-through. It goes back to the community because it came from the community. So I always like that.
Yes, well, that's good. I like to. I love giving stuff away, so I'm happy now.
Chadjar has a good question, Mike. Do you want to handle this one?
Which one was that?
We're
a guest. I just said on there. We do tell the guests they don't have to participate in those segments. We'll say we're going to talk about stuff you don't want to say anything. You can just lay out on us. So
right, we don't force them
to participate. We realize that some of the people may want a career in gaming, unlike Eric and I, and they may not want to call WotC this weekend stupid, but gaming stupid.
It's like can WotC be out stupided by Paizo? Oh my, look at that, Paizo. Paizo, they got unionized this year, by the way.
That was a huge story. We skipped that. Yeah. That was a giant story. That was the first of its kind. That's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. So that was a gigantico story, and that came about because of one of our favorite trolls of all time. What's her name? No, I can't remember her dumb name. Who decided to post that long article about how she had to vacuum the floor and blah blah blah.
Hold on a second. You're talking about the one that Champion named because it's like Candyman.
Price? Yes, Price. I'm going to say it one time.
Yeah.
But yes, So that changed that took down Paizo, man. She had one post that took Paizo down. That was awesome.
I mean, listen, the Paizo stuff was very revealing to show you that what we consider to be a top tier major publisher pays their staff shit. All right. And there are a lot of people I know in gaming that are successful, but they're successful because they have a full-time job and gaming supplements their income. But if you're working full-time at Paizo, you got to write gaming material to supplement your income for working in the gaming hobby. Figure that shit out.
So that was we skipped that, but that was a significant story in the year, definitely.
Yep. But you're right. Shadra observed that we haven't had a guest.
I think I'm losing my connection.
No, we have not had a guest back out before this week in Gaming Stupid. Oh my God! I just got that mute button on. I hope so. Oh my God! A sneeze. Maybe I got the vid.
Actually, I don't think you know what. We've never had a guest tell us no that we've asked.
No,
I mean they might not appear the exact second we want them to appear, but we've never had anybody turn us down yet. So
Matt Jackson, one of the people in my gaming group. Oh my
dear.
God, he'll tell you how insane our group is. But you're playing with people that are creators, right? Or you're playing with people who've been in a hobby for 30 or 40 years. So, David, thank you for hanging
David.
out. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. on the Tenkars Tavern Discord server, we do a little hangout. It's going to be the last of the year. In the speakeasy, we just voice chat, talk about geek stuff, gaming stuff. It's a very relaxed time. I usually
Wait
get
a second. Friday night, that's New Year's Eve. Are you going to have a show Friday night?
Thursday. I hope it's Thursday night. New
No, I'm
Year's
saying
Eve.
Friday night.
Oh, all
You're
right.
not
I'm
gonna
on Thursday. Tomorrow night, Thursday. Now, Friday night is the fifth Sunday of the month, which means technically I don't have a live stream. So we'll see.
Okay.
If people give feedback and they want something done, we could probably arrange it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I won't be having any fun New Year's Eve. I've got COVID, so if you need anybody to,
Oh my God!
let me know.
I could have Mike, myself, and Rach.
I'll be sitting at home forlornly looking at a bottle of champagne that I can't taste. So,
well, at least you'll feel the bubbles.
That's true.
All right, folks. Man, nice amount of live viewers. Thank you, folks.
We covered a lot of ground. Thank you,
folks. We did, folks. It's the last episode of Talking Crit for 2021. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So a huge thanks from Mike and myself. As Mike will tell you, we're in the midst of the road of COVID. Mike knows it. He's experiencing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying get vaxxed, don't get vaxxed. I'm not saying wear a mask, don't wear a mask. I'm going to tell you, make decisions using your common sense, confer with a medical professional that knows your medical history and be guided by such. Ignore the talking heads. Be safe, be well, God bless. We will be back in 2022. Wow, a whole year you're going to have to wait for another episode of this.
Sorry, folks.
Yeah. What can I tell you? All right. Again, thank you. Good night. As I'm about to sneeze again.